of Articulation. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the 3 Points of Articulation. My name is Jamie Wills, and this week we're covering December to Dismember and customs. You may notice there's only 2 points this week. Unfortunately, Johnny's not very well this week, a bit under the weather. But yeah, who am I joined with this week?
You are joined with Adam the Wrestling Man or Adam Hanslip. Peace. I think that's appropriate for today with the 2 fingers. I'll go all Birch and Lorcan on you.
Well, yeah. Do I have to do the 1 in that case? Is that?
Yeah, we can be 1, 2.
I would say I'll shave my head, but give it 3 years and nature will take its course. Yeah, so we've got only 2 of us this week, as I said before. Unfortunately, John's a bit under the weather, but I'm Jamie Wills, you're Adam Hanslip, and you guys at home probably own an AEW figure that you didn't know you wanted 10 days ago, and this is the 3 Points of Articulation.
News.
News World Order, and we've got a stacked lineup of news since the last episode. You want to kick us off, Adam? You want to treat us with some news?
Yeah, definitely. The Legends of Pro Wrestling series is where I'm going first. So 4 new releases have been revealed at the sky-high price of $39.99, that is. So maybe a bit cheaper over here. But they look pretty good, to be honest. We've got first up is a Vince Russo figure in the Legends line. I have seen the Vince Russo for quite a while, so I don't know if there's 2 of them or if it's just been a long time in the making. Have you any idea on that one?
A long time in the making. Basically, with these ones, because it's such a small company, and they just started getting into creating wrestling figures, they released like images and so on literally a year, 18 months in advance. I think the Vince Russo one has been almost 2 years in production, because they get a lot of pre-orders in and generate the cash for it, generate the buzz for it, and then they release it 2 years later. They've had the same thing with Chris Candido and Francine, I think, been released as well.
Yeah, they were the last lot release, weren't they?
Yeah. So they had the same thing people were waiting for ages. So yeah, interesting to see.
I've been rewatching The Walking Dead recently, and the resemblance between Vince Russo and Negan is quite outstanding. I don't know if Negan modelled himself off Vince.
I've never watched The Walking Dead. Can I shock you? I think I watched 1 episode when I was on holiday, because it was anything that was on in English. So yeah, I've never fully watched it, but I'll look at the picture afterwards.
Definitely worth a bulk watch. It was really hard to watch in some series episode by episode, but worth a bulk. Anyway, let's get back on topic. The second one in the Legends line that's been released is a Customizer's Dream, and we'll talk a lot about customizers later. And it is Scott Norton. It's done very much in the black and white attire to kind of link it in with the NWO black and white without actually saying NWO on it. It's as close as possible to the NWO attire without saying it. If you're a fan in the 90s, you're going to have an NWO collection right now. Somewhere in your collection will be NWO. So a lot of people get a Scott Norton made. No need to anymore because Legends of Pro Wrestling has got one. Have you seen that one, Jamie?
I have. Yeah, I think NWO wise, I think I started an NWO collection and then got a bit impatient with them not releasing certain ones. I'm sure a lot of bigger fans of WCW in the 90s would love a Scott Norton in their collection because he was not one of the first in there, but it was before it got too massive. So I think he's still got a place in some people's hearts. But yeah, I think
really good wrestler if he was given the chance as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's him and Scott Norton. Who's in a partnership with?
Pretty much every member of the NWO.
Yeah, because I think they've sort of got a bit on the cusp with a few. Because Vince Russo comes with a title, which looks not a lot like the World Heavyweight title, but it says it without saying it, which is what he's known for, really, isn't it? It's just terrible booking and putting the title on himself.
Yeah. And the other two are a couple of rising stars, quite interesting releases, in my opinion, on these ones. The first one is current AEW star Joey Janela. Very interesting. I mean, like you say, these have been in the works for a long time. So this will have been probably pre-AEW that it got the authorization and the contracts were done and stuff like that. But an interesting time to release it. And I wonder if AEW would have any issues at all with that.
There's been a few like that, hasn't there, where people have signed for AEW, but their commitments elsewhere have meant. We look at there's a game called Retromania, that's a follow up to WrestleFest, which was the arcade game, and that's been in production for 2 years because I love WrestleFest so much. I've been keeping an eye on it, and they've got John Morrison's in there. And the game's not even released yet, but there's a few others, and I think Blue Meanie's also in the game, so it sort of covers different areas. But yeah, on that one, basically, they'd have people on there which are signed with bigger AEW stars on there. You've got TNA stars on there which are not signed to their respected company, but because the game's been in production for 2.5 years, they can get away with it. So
yeah, I wonder if the actual stars have to disclose stuff like that to the companies when they join.
You'd imagine so. I imagine it's the equivalent of telling your new employer that you've got any holiday booked off. I imagine it's the same sort of thing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they put a clamp down on those sort of things. Only recently it started happening with the longer production. So
yeah, and it looks quite good, that figure. I don't think the face is spot on. I think the Legends of Wrestling, unless it's like a masked person or someone with face paint on, I think they're usually a little bit far away with not having the scan technology. But the actual figure is quite a nice looking figure and would fit into a good AEW collection on that one.
Yeah, I quite like the bad boy, Joey Janela. Quite like him as a wrestler. So I don't know if he's got a massive fan base in America. So a $40 price point, it's strange one to pick up. Not really a cult following.
And the last one is following on the heels of that. Probably an even bigger shock to some wrestling fans that this came out is Shane Strickland, which is also better known to wrestling fans now as Isaiah Swerve Scott from 205 Live and NXT. It's quite a basic looking figure, and to be honest, Swerve looks different every single time I see him on the TV anyway, so I'm not even sure I know what he looks like. He's always got his hair different, and I'm sure he changes his face as well. So the figure's okay. It's quite bland, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's so he was big in, was it Ring of Honor? He was big in Progress and all the
Evolve.
Yeah, so I think that was it, Evolve. That's what I'm thinking of. So I think those sort of figures that will sell, especially I'm guessing they booked them originally because they have the gimmick tables when they go to the indie shows. So if you go to an indie show and you see, Sean Strickland wrestling or Isaiah Scott wrestle, you're gonna want to pick up a figure of him and be like, oh, I've seen him wrestle before. So I think that's the intentions that they have behind this, is for the wrestlers to sell them at the gimmick tables. But unfortunately for Joey Janela and Strickland, there's no gimmick tables at the bigger shows. So
you say unfortunately, but the fact that they've come out, they're the two that are going to sell the most out of that collection, I would say, due to their popularity at the moment. So I think it's a great move for those wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gone in the worst direction for him, but will there be an elite of Swerve Scott coming out at some point? He's got quite a lot of charisma, so I think wouldn't surprise when an elite comes out for him. And Janela's been relative mainstay in AEW, so and apparently they're be firing out figures like hotcakes. So yeah, wouldn't surprise me if that figure becomes a bit redundant in a few years, sadly.
Yeah, and I think just to finish it off, we've got to talk about that price tag. $40. That's obviously, I'm not 100% sure how much regular WWE and AEW figures sell for in America dollar wise, but if you compare that to the £20 figures that are coming out over here that are much better quality and much better made, $40 is ridiculous in my view.
Yeah, well, I think the elites are normally $20 over there. Reduced after a while to $15, $12. I think if you look at Walmart's now, Freddie Blassie is reduced to $11.99. A lot of it does. It makes you want to get on a plane to America, doesn't it? But yeah, so the $40 price point is going to scare some people away. But I think if you're going to pick these figures up, you're going to pick them up if they're 20 or they're 40. I think you have to be a fan of these people to pick up their figures anyway. So I think they know what they're doing.
I'd say yes, but I'd also say you've got to be a fan or a completist. If you're collecting 205 live, let's say, like I had a 205 live display last year, and I probably would have got this to go with that collection. So
it's about was it about 33.50 roughly English, plus the import charge.
just too much.
It's too much. It's an elite price, an ultimate price, isn't it? So yeah, very strange. My first bit of news is more of a follow-on than a bit of news. We spoke about the gobbledygooker the other week because we had our Survivor Series special in a way. He did have a 2011 Comic-Con reveal. It was supposed to be a figure released in 2011. Never got released. There was even images of the figure, but for some reason never got released. So I wonder if now's the time. I've seen a lot more Gooker pop up, I think, on the network this week. There's 3 things that have popped up on there, gobbledygooker related. I think this time next year we could be discussing the new Gooker figure that's going to be out for Thanksgiving. So yeah, I would say fingers crossed, but it's a weird one to get excited about, isn't it?
Yeah, the gobbledygoolacker, as it's going to be at the moment, because Drew was under the mask this time, wasn't it? It'd be quite interesting if that was a thing where the heads actually came off to reveal Drew underneath at the moment. But yeah, it's been one that's been talked about for years and years, like you've said. It's one that, from that time period, I will probably get. Will I really enjoy the figure? Probably not.
No, I think well, they're going to do it. They're going to do it as they did with Mr. T this year, and do it as the Comic-Con exclusive for next year. Because I don't think it's going to sell massive, but I think the people that are wanting it are going to pay over the odds for it, really. So yeah, I'd see that being next year's Comic-Con reveal. Nice egg box, as I was saying last week, would be lovely. Pop in with your Mean Gene and have a wonderful time. Next bit of news, Adam. What have you?
Yeah, the last bit of news from me is the Cella Toys follow-up from when we talked about the going right back to the Nick Aldis figure. The final images have been released of the box and the figure itself. The box is nice, same as we talked about. It's very Hasbro-esque is the box. The figure itself, now I'm going to completely go on my own opinion here, is a massive disappointment compared to what was first shown. The head is ridiculously big compared to the body. It looks way out of place compared to the body, and it doesn't look, I mean, I know original images look a lot more like them, but it looks way away from Nick Aldis. It could be anyone, could that head. I'm really disappointed because I've got it on pre-order, just really disappointed in it.
One person would be good to get his opinion on would be our Johnny, because he's pre-ordered 2 of them, isn't he? But yeah, it does look like he's been playing DK mode on GoldenEye, because the head is just, yeah, massive. I feel a bit bad, right? Because I think, how much was it? It wasn't cheap, the figure.
Oh no, I can't remember. It was about 20, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, for what, essentially a retro or something you're taking a punt on, it's not a cheap bit, is it? I know WrestleBox have got exclusive signed ones. Cheap plug for someone over at WrestleBox, but I know they got a Nick Aldis box next month. So I think there's still going to be a market for it because of the actual box and because of what it is, and also Nick Aldis being UK wrestler. So there will be a market for it over here, but I think with that image, the final one, it's just going to be pre-orders, really. I think no one's going to. Yeah.
I mean, when he's WWE champion, I'll probably cash in then. But I think I'll keep it in a nice box somewhere with a bit of bubble wrap around it.
Yeah, well, one thing's for sure. I don't think the head's going to get damaged, is it?
Definitely not. It's going to be very strong, that one. Right, that's it for me for news. On to you.
Right. Well, let's get on to the elephant in the room. The AEW figure madness for this week. So basically, Smiths have released the figures for this week, the AEW figures. So if you can't open Facebook without seeing one of them or see someone wanting one of them. I see the word need thrown around quite a lot this week, which it's not a word I like to use when it comes to a wrestling figure, but it's a bit of a strange one. So yeah, obviously someone posted originally, oh, MJF's in stock. Obviously they sold out straight away, and then just recurring as if last time, drip feeding the figures in. As soon as they go up, they go out again, which has caused demand for them, which means that people that don't watch AEW for some reason are now wanting the figures, and it's good marketing in a way, but also I think bad marketing for when it comes to the smaller businesses who are then gonna, I feel, be overstocked for them when it comes to ordering really. So, what's your view on the AEW figure madness?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's good marketing. Smiths have played it well if they've made the decision to drip feed, if they've not just been supplied in a drip feed way. But I don't think they have, because it's every few hours or something that seems to have drip fed through, and another one comes up for 2 minutes. Yeah, it's to be honest, I like it because it's exciting for a wrestling fan to log on at the right time and get it. It's the thrill of the chase. It beats pre-orders hands down. Does that thrill of a chase that Smiths have done? So I personally quite like it. Obviously, with your big stores, you have the chance, the very little, but it's still a chance of a chase. I did see one of the MJF chases pop up on a group where I think somebody from Smiths had removed the sticker off the front, which is an awful thing to do. But maybe they didn't think it meant to be there.
It was Mark Caulfield who,
Yeah.
so he found the MJS, but then in America, when they released the first chases, I think the major pod got some. I don't think they actually had stickers on them.
Right.
So
But,
whether
but
it's
I did hear there was a residue though on it, so I would
oh
suggest.
right, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if there's residue, then there's smoke without fire. So but yeah, so very nice get. It's just unfortunate there's no sticker on there, but I don't think it will diminish the value too much. If anything,
I
but
mean, people are banging on about Pentagon being the best figure of the year.
oh,
I don't really know what to call him now. Penta L, whatever he's called. Not junior anymore, but being the best figure of the year. Yes, this series does look slightly better than some in the old series, Cody. But figures like Pentagon do well to hide flaws because there's no skin showing, because the joints are well hidden by the color of the figure, because of how exciting and popping that figure is to the eye. You probably won't know how good it is until you've cracked it open and had a look at it yourself. I don't think it's gonna be the best figure of the year, as people have been saying.
yeah, I think there's been a lot of hype on Pentagon, isn't there? So I think because it's been one of the harder ones to pick up, people have been going, "Oh, it's the best figure of the year." I think if that was as regular as MJF is, it wouldn't be as sought after or as admired as it has been. Um, I think as soon as the Ray Phoenix figure comes out, I think we've got another story on our hands. I think that's going to be better than the Penta one, because I personally think that Ray Phoenix is better out of the two. But yeah, I think he's. I think as soon as that comes out, it's about Brandy. If Brandy was 3 or 4 in a box, then no one's going to really want it. But because there's short packs and because we haven't been released over here, different story. So once again, good marketing from Jazzwares.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be getting mine tomorrow, so it's quite a bad time for them to arrive after we're discussing it today. But I'll get a further look at them tomorrow. I might update you on the next pod.
Lovely, lovely. And the John Moxley one is one I'll touch on as well. Or Dean Ambrose, as he's known, and as he's had many, many figures before under the name Dean Ambrose. But apparently, if you put a belt on him and give him a little tiny scar, then people are going to go crazy for him. So, yeah, it's once again just people. It's short packed in the set. He comes with the belt, so everyone wants him, and yeah, he's soon to be one of the most sought after ones in this set, which is
Yeah, he's been quite up and down as Ambrose. When the pictures first got released, everyone was laughing and saying, "Oh, that's terrible," and then the further pictures got released, and everyone was like, it's not actually that bad, is that one? And now the actual figures come out, and like you say, hysteria around it with the belt and with the lack of availability, and suddenly it's a brilliant figure, and there's no flaws with it. It's a strange one to watch unraveling how people's opinions change just because of the fact that it's not widely available.
unraveling or unrivaling. That's what the line's called.
You decide.
Yeah, it's just a very strange one for me. I think when the figure was first released, the renders and the pictures, it did look awful. The head was too small, it had a silly expression on its face. And then obviously I think they've listened to people that have said the head's too small, the opposite of Nick Aldis, basically. And then, so yeah, so the head does make sense now. The figure itself is actually a really decent looking figure. It's just another Dean Ambrose figure, though, in my opinion. I don't see the excitement for it, and to everyone's so excited about. I think the Young Bucks from the last series are better figures because of their attire, and I think it captures a moment. Yeah, it's a very strange one. I think just people are tending to go for FOMO. We've discussed FOMO quite a lot. I think that's what this is. If you tell someone they can't have something, they want it even more. So,
Yes.
that's what it is. Moving on, we're sticking with AEW, but moving on away from this series. We've got season 3, which are due to be released. And also, we've also had a Sammy Guevara renders released as well. Have you seen the images of Sammy?
Yeah, I've seen them, but I don't trust the render images.
No, and we just discussed from Moxley. Yeah, so you got Sammy Guevara, which they look decent, the figure. I think we need a Sammy Guevara to go with a Jericho. I feel that they're going to release it in a circle pack, if I'm honest, capturing either the Vegas one from the other week, because I think they like capturing those sort of things, or the Debonair, the Dinner Debonair, whatever it's called, with MJF. So I think we're going to have one of those in the near future. But I'm sure that as soon as they do get released, 33 seconds later, everyone's going to have up a pre-order again, because
yeah,
the way of the world, unfortunately.
I think the facial expression from him looks good. It'll be interesting to see people's reactions when the proper figure comes out on how they've actually done the facial expression, because it is quite a strange face that he pulls. And I remember the uproar about the Bobby Fish Elite that was recently released. Everyone was saying, "Oh, that face is awful, it's awful." But I've actually done a side-by-side look, and that is the face he pulls. Yes, it's weird because that is the weird face that he pulls. But those same people will probably be saying how good the Guevara one is that slated the Fish one is. So it'll be interesting gauging the reactions again.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bobby Fish one, if you're a kid playing with a figure, it's not brilliant. But if you're someone displaying the figure with the hands and as it should be with the rest of the Undisputed Era, it makes sense, doesn't it? Same as what you were saying before a few weeks back in regards to the Mick Foley figure, the WrestleMania one, where I think the face that he pulled for that is a face that he did pull when he was getting speared through a fiery table. So I think it does. It does.
So I'll kind of half disagree with you on that one. I do think they got that one slightly wrong. But yeah, we're going off topic there.
Yeah, I think if they had a tooth in his nose, it would be a different story, wouldn't it? Yeah, so I think AEW wise, I think that they've set themselves up for a win on these ones. I think going forward, yeah, they're going to. I think Orange Cassidy has got coming up as well, which I think is just gonna. If they don't short pack that, they've missed a trick.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you the other day about how on Pro Wrestling Tees, Orange Cassidy's got both of the top 2 bestsellers of the year. That really shocked me. So that figure will be like gold dust.
Yeah, unlike the actual gold dust, Dusty Rhodes, which, yeah, I think this.
You say that, but it's sold very well so far.
Sold very well so far. I think the only one I'm surprised at is that the Adam Page Hangman seems to be just on the secondary market already quite frequently. Him and MJF, because they're relatively bland figures, aren't they? Adam Page just looks like Magnum TA. We all know what happened with that figure. So at least now we can stop seeing those customs on Facebook with the horse. I guess that's the only thing from there. Any more news? Or are you all out of news?
Done.
All done and dusted with the news. So next up, we have the pick-me-ups. I hope you've got your pick-me-ups ready, Adam, and we'll be back in a sec after the intro.
Oh, have you seen our lovely pick-me-ups from this week?
Pick-me-ups time. And if you're interested in seeing what we've picked up for our collections this week, or our apparel, which I've picked up this week, which we'll get into in a second, then stay tuned. So, Adam, do you want to kick us off with your purchases?
definitely. First one is a weird one. I'm going to not try this on because it's really, really difficult to get on. It's slightly too small for my head, and I don't have a big head. It's another mask. I don't know why I'm getting into these. I'm not even a massive fan of masks, but this one caught my eye and was only about £8 altogether, I think.
Ooh.
And it is the Mick Foley Mankind mask. It's actually really, really well done, this. It works as a proper mask, like you can proper see through the exact bits and stuff. And when you talk, it kind of looks like you're half talking with it. And it looks like it's got horse hair, probably, on its head. This was on the couch when I first got it, and the missus had a bit of a shock when she walked in the room and thought there was an animal on the couch, which is great. And it's still got the tag, the WWF Attitude Era tag. A really nice buy for £8. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I've got a couple of masks over there somewhere. I'll probably stick it with those.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I sort of feel that for people that don't watch this on YouTube and listen to it on Podbean or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we're going to need to create some form of Instagram or get down with the kids and do something picture related, because I can't explain this to
missing
anyone.
a treat here.
Yeah, I mean, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. When was it from? What year was that? That must have been 99, 98?
Let's have a look. I'm guessing 99, yeah. 98.
Oh, yeah. It's remarkable would be the term that I'd use.
Made by Caesar Inc.
Oh, of course it was. That one-owned company. Yeah, it's remarkable would be the word I'd use for that.
Let's leave that one there.
Yeah.
Next one is on Euroshop this week. I picked up some mini belts. I would say I got them in the awesome Black Friday sale that they had, but I actually got them about 4 days earlier for cheaper than they ended up in the Black Friday sale. So I'm glad I did, to be honest. Treat myself to some Christmas presents out of some money that I was given. So the first one is the SmackDown Women's Championship. Obviously, you get the bags and stuff with these as well, but I've just took them out to show. I quite like the women's belts in mini belt form. The tag team one is amazing. Next one is the old school, the original WWE UK Championship. The NXT one's recently been released as well. I'll wait till that goes down in price because I am a cheapskate. The next one is the White Intercontinental Championship. I got this one to pretty much see how it translated when it's in my hands, because I think there's too much of the actual belt above and below the Intercontinental titles. It hasn't changed my mind. Obviously, I love the Intercontinental title. It doesn't translate into the mini belts for me. And the final one is the 2018 NXT Championship version, which went down to very cheap. I think it was about £30, this one. So a good haul of gold for me.
Definitely. I think the mini belts I've only ever had one, which I think I won on a raffle or a competition, as they referred to. I think it was the white IC that I had. I agree, there's too much belt either side. It only really works with the bigger plates, i.e. the UK Championship and majority of the women's ones, which tend to have a bigger plate on it. The white, I think, works a lot better with the mini belts because it sort of makes it pop in a way.
Interesting that the UK belt is about twice as heavy as the others as well.
No, maybe they've put a bit of effort into the UK for once. Pay-per-views and belts they've put a bit of effort into. Yeah,
my first ever mini belt that I got was actually randomly. I bought an eBay lot from somebody that I'd bought about 3 lots previously on, and he just went, "Oh, I've sent something with it. You'll probably like it." So he just sent me something for free, and it was the Red Universal Championship mini belt.
Oh.
I was like, "Really?" I got in touch with them and went, "Did you mean to send me that?" Because they were quite pricey at the time, that one, because that one had only just come out. So you're looking at 60 quid for that one. So yeah, thank you. Can't remember who it was, but thank you.
Yeah, he must like you. I'm actually done that just to get a shout out on here, and he's going to be bitterly disappointed.
A pre-shout out.
So my first, I picked up some Toy Biz lots. We spoke the other week about unnecessary accessories during our Halloween episode, I think it was. it's no wonder that this toy line went out of business. If I'm honest, if you look at some of the stuff that I'm not sure who this came with, but I mean, it didn't even come with Macho Man, which is worrying. I mean, you've got a ladder, which I quite like the ladder. It's fine, but then you've got this. What is this? It's like a little cannon that I haven't even bothered getting the thing out for it. Disco Inferno comes with a little disco stand. Dennis Rodman comes with a backboard and a basketball net. I don't need all of this. If I'm a kid playing with it, I'm not going to be playing basketball with my Dennis Rodman figure. It's very strange, if I'm honest.
But would you have bought them figures if they didn't come with all those accessories?
Yes, definitely. I always didn't buy them because they come with all these accessories. Oh, here's Sting. There he is, going up. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I think that they put more effort into the accessories than they did the figure for a lot of them. But I'll list them. We've got Wrath, who is, I don't know if he's in the scale or not, but he's a big boy.
Not for that one, he's not.
No, he's a big old boy. He is. We have Canyon, who only has one articulation arm. The other one doesn't.
Okay.
DDP, who comes with sunglasses molded on, because why wouldn't you want to wrestle with him? Disco Inferno with some trousers too big for him.
Stepping to style, mate.
Channeling his inner Giant Gonzalez with his attire there. Rey Mysterio with, once again, trousers too big for him. Goldberg, because that's what Bill Goldberg looks like, isn't it? Once again, talk about scale. Psycho Sid.
I like that Sid figure because you can do the power bomb easily with that one.
You can. He does the kicking motion with his. You see there, which is a move you wouldn't see until we get to the retros. Sami Zayn again. Hack or Sandman, who came with his barbed wire, which makes sense. Got his barbed wire with him. It makes sense. That's a good accessory that comes with him. Makes it toyetic. For a boring figure, it makes it toyetic. Kevin Nash, which comes with a powerbomb feature. Another Sting, which I think come with a bat, which I left in the bag because I ran out of room on my bed for all the accessories.
Always reminds me of the fake Sting, that one. I think facially it looks like the fake Sting.
I always find with these, like with the more newer ones and with some of the other ones, the Sting figures, it looks like it's an actual mask rather than face paint, whereas this actually looks like it's been face painted on, which is quite a good. So I find that with the old, especially with the older, like the BCAs and the Titantrons, it's all more face paint. It looks like it's a mask rather than. Whereas, that one doesn't. And last but certainly not least, actually we've got Bam Bam as well in there with the Blue Flames, and we've got Dennis Rodman, which is quite a heavy figure, if I'm honest. Tiny head on there, but I think overall, if I saw a figure like this in a box, I think that's pretty cool. If I saw a figure in a box like this with a basketball backboard with no basketball, I think that's too much. What is that? It's just very strange, the lot of it. So, yeah, if you're ever wanting a fire hydrant that shoots cannons, Toy Biz, you guys. But yeah, what's your review on the Toy Biz line? I've got a fair few of them at the moment, so picking up.
Yeah, I mean, it completely depends on the figure. You've got a wide range in there of awful figures and very nice figures. I mean, Bam Bam Bigelow always translates into a nice figure.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the range is, he always translates. And then you've got your Sid and your Nash that are done really well to perform the moves. And then you've got your really odd-looking basic figures like Canyon and Disco, which really needed to have been done 10 times better than they were to give the actual people a bit of justice there. Give the actual wrestlers a bit of justice. So yeah, it's a mixed bag there. That Rey Mysterio is always interesting. I don't think we'll ever see one without the mask on again. So that's an interesting one to have. And I think the hack one's quite rare. I don't really see that very often.
Oh,
With the accessory.
Yeah, well, so everything. I think I got them for relatively cheap. Because the guy I bought one from eBay had a few lots, so I think I made him an offer on one of them, and then I was like, "Oh, I'll pick up another one." So I messaged him, and I was like, "Oh, why don't you combine the postage and do me the other one for £4 cheaper?" And he was like, "Yeah, all right, that's fine." And then sent them 2 lots anyway. So
All right.
very strange, but yeah, the hack movement is more like the hacker, I'd say.
The Running Man.
Yeah, he's got a nice bit of white towel on his back, or a phone. Could be a phone.
Surprised they released him because he had a very limited run in WCW.
Well, he hasn't got a limited run here, has he? When he's but yeah, I think with him, I think they know that he's going to sell because obviously he had quite a big following in ECW, and by then he was out of the company by the time that figure came out. So I think they're just cashing in when they can. I didn't touch much on Disco Inferno's actions for obvious reasons, but I mean, yeah.
He's doing the disco dance. What do you mean?
Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, it's a very strange toy line, but I think picking them up is quite fun. The accessories wise, it's going to sit in a bag, but at least there's no spare hands. So every cloud.
Yes, indeed. Right. Oh, what's that? Oh.
I'm not sure. I think it's a gauntlet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm honestly with these accessories. I feel like I'm on an episode of Raven. Do you remember that TV show Raven?
Yeah.
It was like a little game show where some bloke was a crow, and kids used to come in and do like gauntlets and stuff. My 90s kid viewers will get the reference, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed they will. Right, my next two, and my final two for today. First one, bought it off a Facebook group. The seller was very honest about the signature being a bit shoddy. It started to run the signature. I didn't show this last time, did I?
No. I think you sent it to me separately.
Yeah, Money in the Bank cash-in Seth Rollins. It's one that's a weird one to watch on eBay because it will sell for really cheap and it will sell for really pricey as well. So I think this one's going to be one that sits on my shelf for quite a long time. I don't know if there's any way of me cleaning that signature up or whether I should even try. I actually just like the box, which is the main reason why I bought this figure. I think the box really pops. And it's, for me, it's one of the best actual moments in recent wrestling history is Seth Rollins coming out and cashing in.
Yeah, that figure's lovely. In box it's lovely. Out the box it could just be another Seth Rollins figure. But that moment I was working in a coffee shop, my brother's coffee shop, and it was the day after Mania, so I was watching Mania because I started at 6:00. And I was watching Lesnar versus Reigns, and it was getting to the end. And a customer come in and give me a really difficult order, like 6 lattes or something. And I literally just heard, Seth Rollins is cashing in. I was like, oh, that's ruined it for me. And ever since then, I hated that customer. Because of that, that's the moment it reminds me of. So, yeah, I think it's
it was a jump off the couch moment for me.
Yeah, it was a great moment. And I think it's something that I want, probably one of the best moments of the last 10, 15 years of Mania. Talk about WrestleMania moments. I think that. Yeah. As soon as you hear that, you know WrestleMania 31. You can picture the stage. So I go back and watch them sometimes for the undercard matches. So I think that one had a ladder match to start with, if I remember rightly.
I'm no good on trivia like lineups. I can't even remember which is which.
Well, I think it had, the first match was the Intercontinental ladder match where Daniel Bryan won. And yeah, just a very good Mania. Underrated one in my eyes. So yeah, I think that figure that does it justice, I'd say.
You're going to at least give your brother's coffee shop a bit of a shout out now.
Oh yeah, Buffer's Coffee Shop in St Austell. If anyone's in the Cornish area,
you might as well be a bit of freedom at the moment.
Well, yeah, we're in tier 1, so we're doing all right for ourselves. We're doing perfectly fine. What tier have you been placed in out there?
2 up there.
Oh, decent then. I think Jono's in 3, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3 kids. That's what we should have called this podcast.
The final one from me then. It's quite a biggie, this one. Recently arrived, and it is the Legends Ultimate Warrior series.
Decent.
I've got to be honest, if I'm very honest. I'll probably get slated completely for this. It didn't deliver everything I was expecting. I think because it's so dark is the main reason it didn't deliver what I was expecting. The box is dark, the coat is dark at the front, the suit's averagely dark. It does what it says on the tin. It's a very accurate face of Warrior at the time. Obviously, he's holding the mask. The back of the coat is obviously much better, but as you can see, you can't actually see the back of the coat through it. Would have been a nice one to have a bit of a hole in the back, maybe. It just doesn't pop like I thought it would pop. I think that's probably translating to other people as well, because I have seen quite a lot of them pop up on the groups and eBay. I know some people will have bought them purely to sell them like that, but I think some people that haven't are getting rid as well. So I don't think it's quite as good as the hype.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a legendary moment. It would have been good if they put it in the other way or put a hole in the box, but I think they're caught between a rock and a hard place with the Legends line, because they're trying to make it uniform, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think the back of the box could have been like maybe the crowd or something similar, or even just release it completely separate rather than being the Legends line. Have it as like a night after Mania special.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
I mean the back of the box is good. Don't get me wrong, because it does have the speech, the quote that he made, which is what a lot of people probably will be displaying every so often, turning it from front round to back. But yeah, it is what it says on the tin. It just doesn't deliver to the hype.
Shame, really. But yeah, I completely agree. I think I have seen a few pop up on the secondary market for a bit more than what they would have purchased it from. Whether they're people that are just cashing on its current value. I think if there's a 70 quid figure in my collection, which I'm not massively interested in, I'm popping it out for sale. So, lovely. Any other purchases for you?
Nope, that is it from me for pickups.
We can move on to my lovely shorts then. So yeah, on Facebook, some bloke put some shorts up. I tagged Johnny in it and said, "Oh, some shorts here." He said they're a large, they're too big. I haven't fit into a large since I was about 13, so I can now fit into a large, and here we are. As you can see, we've got our chalk line ones there. So they're basically styled off the WWNWO Revenge game, but obviously WWE or Chalkline don't own the license to that. So obviously, yeah, this is WWNWO Chalkline, and honestly, the most comfortable pair of shorts I've ever worn. It's like you're wearing nothing, which can be dangerous sometimes. But yeah, fine. Pockets are fine. It's just a nice pair of shorts.
Yeah, I get why they wrote the word Chalkline in the same style as the word Revenge, but for me, it would have been better without that word.
Yeah.
The NWO logo is quite iconic.
It would have been. They could have put another word in there, which might not be Revenge, but something along those lines. Nitro or something just would have been fine.
Yeah.
You got the Chalkline Warrior jacket, which popped out in the smelly one. I popped out in the post here. Have you ever wore any Chalkline? Have you ever get involved with that?
No, I don't think so. Those NWO ones that we all got from Euroshop, they're not Chalkline, are they?
No, they're just standard shorts.
No, just that Warrior jacket then, and it's unfortunately it's not a wearer because it's too small for me.
I don't know. Well, it's a medium, but these have you tried it on?
No.
I think you should give it a try on, then have a 3-hour bath. I think it could squeeze on, but I know what you mean. You don't want to take the risk, do you? Because the last thing I'll do is sneeze, and you got yourself 2 jackets instead of 1.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I quite like the homage t-shirts, as you know. I think they're I'm wearing one now. I quite like them. They fit quite well. They're nice and soft. But I don't know where I can justify spending £40 per pair of shorts just to have a full-on collection of Chalkline stuff. So yeah, I think second-hand might be the best way to go for these. And sadly, I can't see them popping up in my local Age Concern charity shops. But purchases-wise, that's me all out on there.
Pick me up. Done.
Pick me ups are done. Me out. Break it down. And here we are. We're going to be discussing a weekly topic point. And this week it's December to Dismember. We're talking about customs, not the horrible charges you get when you order from Ringside. Talking about figures that haven't been released or items that haven't been released, which you can make your own of or buy someone who has more talent than you. Adam, a man that has more customizing talent than me. Do you want to kick us off? What's your view on some customs?
Sure, we're definitely not going to talk about the awful pay-per-view, are there? Which is where I thought you were going to go with that.
Oh God, no! I blocked out my memory until I was looking for a poster for this. So yeah, I can't remember. Well, there's been 2 pay-per-views that have been based around a cage match. They've only had 2 matches announced before the card started, and that's December to Dismember and Hell in a Cell 2019. And we both know what happened in the main events of those. So, little lesson for them to never do that again, please.
Yes. So, customs. So the point of this chat is just to see, number one, whether we think that customs have a place in people's collection, whether we enjoy customs, whether it's collecting them ourselves, whether it's actually viewing them, and then a couple of little subtopics off it. So are you a customs fan first, Jamie?
No, not massive. I can appreciate a good custom, but yeah, it's the same as plastic surgery for me. That's never going to be replace the real thing, is it? So yeah, not for me personally. I'll get into why.
Have you got any in your collection at all? Any custom figures?
No. To think then, no, I haven't.
So we'll try and break it down as to why then. Now, I picked up straight away that you said they don't have a place, first of all, or when you can pick one up that's readily available. I get that. Completely 100% understand that. If you've got a Mattel release of a figure, then more than likely it's going to be slightly more accurate and better than a custom, which is why they're called customs in the first place. What about the figures that you can't get?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones I've been tempted by the most, if I'm honest. I think for me, it's more value because it takes a lot of effort for someone to put a customs figure together. You very rarely pick one up for less than between 35 and 40 quid. I think I've seen a couple. I saw someone selling a Steve Blackman, which obviously I need for my Attitude Era, but it just put a Titantron head on top of a generic made body. So yeah, I think there's certain ones that I know we're never going to get, which I understand why people make customs of. But for me, it's just the value's not there for what I need it for, really.
Yeah, I mean, you do have your massive differences in customs. You've got your hobbyists who will happily just like what they're doing, make one for themselves, then maybe stick one on eBay for 20, 30 quid, same kind of price as an elite. Job's a good one. If you buy it, you shouldn't expect it to be kind of all giggles and whistles, because it's not going to be. It is going to be quite like you say, where it's a kind of head put on a generic body, maybe a couple of alterations. Your customs where you use parts from already existing figures just simply to pop on. Like he's got boots from Tyler Breeze, he's got arms from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, whatever, that kind of thing, and put them together as good as you can. And I definitely think they've got a place. They're relatively cheap on the market, they're easy to pick up, but it depends how much you want to look at your collection and think that definitely looks like the person. Then you've got your kind of elite line customizers where you're looking at over 100 quid for each custom, which is a lot, but you've got to respect that the work that goes into those is going to be, hours. I'm not saying hours all in a row, but it's going to be hours and days of doing one little thing, letting it settle, letting it dry, sealing it, going and buying a different accessory that you need from somewhere else, adding that to it, letting it dry, letting it settle, painting it. Even sometimes the skin has to be painted because the body works perfectly, but the skin doesn't quite match it. I know on the Fantasy Wrestling League, there's quite a lot of people who deal with customs. There's Tom Jordan, who owns TSM. His customs are absolutely out of the park. They're absolutely fantastic. It's obviously his profession that he does it. If you get a chance, check them out. There's a huge range of heads and stuff like that in there as well. I know we've got people who do it as hobbyists. So we've got Aidan Lawrence and Desi Wallace that do it as hobbyists. And the more you do it, the massive improvements that you see in people's work. And those two have got really good at their customs. Got Jeff Taylor. He's on Instagram as Golden Era Figs. Honestly, check that out if you can. He's got like a 1988, 89 to 1992 kind of display in Detolfs, and anyone that's not available in Mattel form, he will make. So it really suits the purpose, if you know what I mean. He's not just making them for the sake of making them. He's making them because he wants that completist collection. And he spends, honestly, he can start one and then finish it months later because he wants it to be absolute perfection. He doesn't sell them. It's just for his own personal collection. One thing that he said, and because I was talking to him about it before we did this, he said a good question to maybe pose is, should a custom be a one-off piece of artwork, or should it be made to look in line with whatever you're collecting, such as a Mattel Elite in your collection? What do you think on that? Should it actually fit in 100% with the collection, or should a custom be a one-off piece of art?
I think it depends if you've made it or not. I think if I'd made the figure, so say we'll go back to the Gobbledygooker. If I'd made a Gobbledygooker figure, I'd want it to be a centerpiece. I want my parents to put it in the middle of Christmas dinner. You know, I'd want, you know, it to be if I put that much effort into it. I think if you're looking to pick up one to fit in, so for example, I've got a Scotty Too Hot in a Rikishi, which I do, and I want a Grandmaster Sexay, I want them to fit in. Because at the moment they sort of look out of place. So it depends on the figure, I'd say. If it's a standalone superstar or wrestler, of course I want it to stand alone. If I'm losing it to fill a gap in a stable or a tag team, I want it to fit in. So I think there's the two, like Dynamite Kid, you want him to fit in with Bulldog, the new Ballers that's coming out. Whereas if you're customizing a Steve Blackman, or you're customizing an Al Snow, you'd want them to be by themselves and stand out. So, yeah, I think it's twofold, but I can see the reasoning behind both.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of issue as, would you put Mattel or Jax together if you're in one same display? And, you know, you can argue yes, no. I mean, I personally would go no. I think the Jax R3 Tech slightly fit in if you want to go down that route, but I'd know, if you know what I mean. So I think customs for me have to fit in with whatever your collection looks like. I had about 6 months last year where I moved house, I got really bored, and I decided to get into customs, and I just can't get the motivation anymore. But I think I made some pretty decent ones. 3 of them that I regret selling, but we'll put pictures up on the screen, were the Bollywood Boys, that are currently in 205 Live, and Ultimo Dragon. But then a few others that I was really happy with. I mean, it's people for me that are not going to be made. Like I've got a Simon Dean from the Simon system. So using old Jax parts, but converting it to Mattel Elites because it's got the Jax jacket on. The one that I'm most proud of in my own collection is the Blazer, Blue Blazer, which obviously will never ever be made by Mattel. So I do think that it has to have a place in my collection because my collection's 1985 to 1988. I went to Double or Nothing last year, in 2019 in Vegas, and I kind of wanted to build a collection based around them. Now, obviously, unfortunately for me, AEW have released all their first couple of series, which basically are all from that event, the attires that they've decided to put on them. But I went to TSM Customs and he made me a Cody and a Gold Dust, Dustin Rhodes, the bloodied version of Dustin Rhodes, which, to be honest, absolutely knocks the current AEW ones out of the park. And it will look much better in my collection because it fits in with the rest of the collection because they're all to scale and things like that. And I made Young Bucks using Sting jackets and some heads that I got made by TSM Customs. And, you know, they're in scale. The kind of things that I like, they're in scale. and they just look better than the AEW figures for me. So I'm a massive customs fan. I've got a Detolf behind me full of 1980s customs as well. It is a long haul though. It's one where I'm not going to go out and spend £100 every month getting a custom. It's like a 2-a-year job. So I think customs for me, you have to be in the game for the long term. I've been a wrestling fan all my life. I'm not going to change that now. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm not going to skip in and out of wrestling anymore. I'm going to be a wrestling fan for the rest of my life. So for me, I can get a couple a year. I think they're probably a waste of money if you go in and out of different things all the time. But if you really concentrate on one hobby like me with wrestling, they're not a waste of money. And if they're done professionally, they are really quality.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the AEW figures there. I mean, yeah, they've released them as the main thing, but they don't look like that, which is one of a that's not the right word, is it? Unique. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so I'd say it's worth getting the customs before they release the figures, and yeah, it's good that the Cody and the Dustin are in scale because look better than the father and son looking ones that they've released.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I was going to go with that. Talking about that 2-pack.
Yeah,
with a tiny little Cody, horrendous.
Tiny Cody. Yeah, it's very strange 2-pack, but
So
yeah.
Would you class yourself as a figure purist then? If you've got like behind you in your details, if you've got a load of Mattel figures, do you think something that wasn't officially made by Mattel would look out of place?
I wouldn't say look out of place. I'd say I'd know. In my head, I'd know.
Right.
For example, I've got a Rhino, which maybe you can see. It's just behind the rock. That's the up-to-date Rhino that will come with the Heath Slater, well, the Heath Slater tag team. It's no different to the 2001 Rhino, but I know deep down, I know, and his time's limited on the shelf behind me. Speaking of customs, obviously you don't just have the figures. You've got, as I said before, my Detolf displays are customs by KS Custom Elites and Stages. So Carl does great work. I've got WrestleMania 2000, Survivor Series, the Rumble 92, and the SummerSlam from the early days as well. So you get loads of different things of people just finding gaps in the market, basically. Like you did with the Fantasy League, there's gaps in the market of people that are wanting things but not really sure that they know they want it yet until they see it. So I think that's probably the big market. And yeah, I can't fault Carl on the service for that as well. He sent them all free postage and lovely wrapped and took me a play-by-play because building's not my strong point. Just like Gargano and Ciampa, I'm not into DIY. So yeah, I've very much had a nice step-by-step on those, and they look lovely. So yeah, customs-wise, that's probably the only thing that's on my shelf that is. But as I said before, unless they release a Grandmaster Sexay, a Bob Holly, an Al Snow, the only way to go for them is to get a custom.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Carl because I was going to mention Carl as well with KS Elite Stages. It is a massive gap in the market, and he's kind of perfected that gap. I know he's sold stuff to actual wrestlers and things like that. Just amazing setups and stages. The last kind of range that I'm going to talk about is I wasn't really, and I'm not a massive Hasbro fan, but I had a look at Old School Customs, which is my mate Mike Jackson that does that, and it just kind of sparked my interest when I saw them that weren't actually out as Hasbro figures, because I think one of the reasons why I'm not a massive Hasbro fan is because of the shininess of the figures. I don't like it. I don't like how they gleam so much. I think it looks really cheap and shoddy. So I asked Mike to make me some which were dull, with the dull spray at the end. And I think that's one of the good things about customs is you can kind of customize it. You can ask for exactly what you want. He's had loads of fun making me some figures. I've got the one of the original War Games figures. So we've got the Hogan there, along with Sting and Luger and Macho Man. And it's just a set which you can't ever see being released, and it's such a fun looking set. And then you've got people that you can just have some fun with in different ways. Like I've got Crash Holly, and I've put him on the old Jack scale. I'm not even sure have a zero chance of ever being released, and you personally like them, even if most people don't. So I've got like an Iron Mike Sharp. Obviously Canada's #1 athlete, Iron Mike Sharp. And it's just, I find those kind of ones really fun that you can have a laugh with, and you don't have to take them like massively serious. And that's, like I said, old school customs on Facebook. You should check them out as well, because you can kind of get stuff that you would never even think of getting.
Yeah, that Crash Holly is lovely looking. Fits on the scale well, because that was his gimmick, wasn't it? But yeah, I think Hasbro wise, they're the ones that you tend to see a lot more of, aren't they? The Hasbro ones. I don't know if they're easy to paint, or it's just the figures are quite generic, the stance, so you can do quite a lot. But yeah, I think that Hasbro wise, you see some lovely ones, don't you? You see some knocking about that are well worth the money. I think I've seen an Owen Hart one recently that did the King of Heart Owen Harts, which just looked remarkable, because you only got the rocket, the high energy Owen Hart figure for that. So.
Yeah, I've got an Owen up there behind me, but again, even me, these have to be completely separate to my Mattels. They can't be in the same type of display, because I'd know. So even me, there's a little bit of purist coming in there. But yeah, I hope you do invest in some customs at some point. It wasn't anything that I was into probably for about 10 years of buying figures. I wasn't into customs at all, and I was a wrestling purist. I was in the opinion that if it wasn't Mattel or Jakks, I didn't want it. But I can now see how they really do fit in, and you can have loads of fun with them.
Yeah, as I said, we might be filming December to Dismember 2 next year, and I could have a wall of customs behind me, you never know. But I think, secretly, if somebody go to like a car boot sale over here and you see someone selling a load of Ralph Lauren shirts, and you're like, people won't know, but I know full well that this. So I think personally, that's how I feel about it. But but I would say I might snap it out. I find that with that sort of thing, it just takes the one, doesn't it? As soon as you get the one custom, and if it's done well, you then get a bit of a, all right, this isn't so bad. So
I think there's rivalry between people who have customs as well, because like I buy a lot of decals from Curb Stomp City decals. They're just absolutely brilliant. But like I know Mike, who I just spoke about, he hates decals, and he feels that everything has to be hand painted. Because he prefers it that way, and he thinks the effort has to go into it. So you shouldn't just be sticking decals on. And now I can see his point completely, but I can also see the fact that decals make life so much easier if I'm going to make a figure, and they can look slightly better for me if the detail is thin enough. So there's loads of different ranges of customs as well. It's not like you just go to one person and buy customs. There's loads of different rivalry and different ranges. So definitely an area for you to look into.
Yeah, well, I don't know where to start with them, but I might start with the old Hasbro ones. I haven't really started collecting Hasbros. I've got a couple of the retros which I play just up there. I play with the little one with, so maybe I might start investing and do a bit of a display with the customs. But as I said, there's a couple.
You probably don't want to play with customs, because obviously they're made to not be as easily played with.
I can imagine. But yeah, I think there's a couple that I definitely need for my Mattel line. As I said before, Al Snow, Grandmaster Sexy, Steve Blackman, the Hollies. I think you've got a Sparky plug, haven't you?
I've got a Sparky plug custom, in the Detolf, and I did have a hardcore Holly one that I made myself, but I sold that one.
And the Executioner you made as well recently.
I did indeed. Yeah. I haven't put it in my display yet, I don't think.
No,
maybe.
But yeah, I think all in all, I can see why people like customs, but at the moment it's not for me. But watch this space. I might have been convinced.
Apart from a Jamie Wills custom that you keep going on about.
Yeah, which is Kevin Owens' head on an Ivar body. With Dennis Rodman like backboard, I imagine, to go with it. So next we've got the underrated R Superstar coming up. Do you have any other points for your custom side of things, Adam?
All done.
All done. All this.
Underrated R Superstar!
Underrated R Superstar time now, and this is when we pick a figure from figure history that we don't think gets the plaudits it deserves. It's an outrage. Adam, what have you got for us this week?
On this day, I see clearly.
Well,
And I think I'm just going to go with one that is underrated purely because it's such a simple figure that is done well. And to be honest, they're one of my favourite things, is a really simple figure that's done well. And it is the Jakks Classics Kevin Sullivan figure. You couldn't ask for a simpler figure. He's got black shorts, he's got black knee pads, and he's got black boots. But the face is really good. It's got the expression that he does. He looks a bit psychotic, which is what he did as the dungeon master or taskmaster or whatever he was. He's got the robe, which again, it's just an all black robe with a red inline. And it's so simple. He's got the body shape, small and chubby. For me, it's such an underrated figure because it's never ever talked about in the classics lineup, in the Jakks Classics. Like if you say who should Mattel release, you'd get your Adam Bomb, your Repo Man, your Bastion Buggers, all the ones that really pop in your head. But sometimes simple can be best. What do you think?
I'm surprised they haven't released a Mattel Kevin Sullivan, to be honest. He's still with WWE, isn't he? Kevin Sullivan?
Yes, in Spits and Spurts, I think. He does some of the books and some of the kind of writing on the website.
Occasionally backstage, he pops up. But yeah, I think figure-wise, I've never seen it before, truth be told. It's not the sort of thing I look out for. I think when I was the age when the classics came out, I never really heard of Kevin Sullivan. I think it's only been recently when the Dark Side of the Ring Benoit episode that you only start to hear about him. Obviously, going back and watching all WCW when he was the Taskmaster and the Dungeon of Doom and so on, you sort of don't really appreciate how good he was. Whereas as a figure, it's as standard as you can get. I was spoke about a second ago, but it looks like a customizer's dream. Truth be told, you can make a decent Bad News Brown out of that. Looking at it, so I think it's a really, really good figure and underrated in the sense of it's got everything you could want from a figure and no bells and whistles, which is something we're not getting nowadays.
Yeah, very, very underrated personality as well. I mean, I'm currently going through 1988 and he's managing the Varsity Club, Mike Rotundo and Rick Steiner at the moment, as well as having the odd match here and there. Really good on the mic. One of the best, in my opinion, probably in the top 10, 20 people ever on the mic. And then obviously when he gets in the Dungeon of Doom, you get to see even more of him on the mic. He was a good technical wrestler. I wouldn't say he's one of my favourite wrestlers in the world, but he definitely had what it took to be bigger than he was. I think he was quite an irate person in real life as well, if you believe the reports, which is maybe why he didn't get as big as he could be. And obviously he was quite short in stature as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think being in that era of WCW when where all the big guys, if you weren't one of the top 5 or 6 there, you weren't getting much chance of the big shots, were you? So I think definitely underrated figure on the basis that I've never seen it before. So a good pick by all accounts. I think I'm surprised they haven't released a Kevin Sullivan in the Mattel range, because I think Dungeon of Doom side of things, they've got Big Show on the books. I mean, there's need a Yeti or a Yeti, and there's a few.
Maybe it just wouldn't sell. I mean, we know how the range with Magnum TA and Harlem Heat went, so maybe they're just thinking it could go down that route and just be a shelf warmer.
Well, they do a full Dungeon of Doom playset. Well, say a playset, but like a display box, like they did with the Bash at the Beach figures. And
I think it's too niche. I don't think enough people would remember it, to be honest. Now,
maybe they short pack them at Smith's.
I mean, they've done Shark, and I'm surprised they've not done a Zodiac with Beefcake.
Yeah,
because they seem to love doing Beefcake figures, so I'm surprised they've not done one of them. But you never know. I would hope for it because I like the Dungeon of Doom, but I doubt it.
Maybe you can customize one. Probably because of the woman as well. You probably couldn't have woman in there. Yeah. Right, that's a nice quick underrated superstar. We're only doing one a week going forward, only because We'll run out of figures otherwise, won't we?
The 3 points of interrogation. You what, mate?
The 3 points of interrogation, where you, the audience, shine the light on us, the 3 points of articulation, and you ask us questions that might make us feel a bit uneasy, or we'll just give our opinions on. One thing to remember, though, is opinions are not facts. They are just our thoughts, aren't they? So my first question this week is from Steve Scott Moore. He's asked what we think the greatest figure from the Legends line is. So that could be the one that was released back in 2010, as all the way up to the ones that are still being released today. So, Adam, what's your favourite Legends figure?
I think everyone will have a different answer on this one. I think there's so many absolutely knock it out of the park, brilliant figures in this Legend line, old and new. But for me personally, because of how much I like them as well, I don't think they'll ever be defeated by any figure that's ever produced. And that is Axe and Smash of Demolition, obviously helmets included as well. They're perfect. They are absolutely perfect figures, from the attire to the faces to the expressions to how nicely they're made. I don't tend to ever get any of these with loose limbs or anything like that. They're absolutely perfect. You know, Smash has even got his little bald spot on the top. Axe's face is one of the best I think they've ever made, as far as how fat it is, as far as how old it is looking, as far as how they've got the hair perfect. Demolition will not be beaten. The only thing they could have done to make this slightly more, for me, was put Crush in the Legends line, but they didn't. They put him as a regular Elite release, which for me was quite disappointing, because I think if I was a MOC collector, I would love to have those three next to each other in the Legends boxes, which is why I didn't include Crush bringing them here. What do you think to Demolition?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if I had Demolition in my collection, if I pulled the trigger and spent 200 and odd plus on them, I definitely have them. I think they're figures wise that hopefully they can be recreated, which is good, which means that the original figures won't lose value, which means that they're still going to be sought after. And I think, yeah, you can't do much more with them apart from a 3-pack with Crush, but all intents and purposes, after the issues they've had with WWE, they're not going to make any more for the foreseeable. So it's good that they've smashed it out of the park with the ones that they did release, because I think they're top notch. They are.
Yeah. Never say never, though. I mean, they did release these when they weren't on the best of terms, and I play the card game on your phone, just spend a little bit of my time, and I've noticed some of the Legends that were in the concussion case along with Demolition have started to gradually appear on those cards. So you never know what's going to lead to what. So keep your fingers crossed, Jamie.
I'll keep everything crossed. But
they did release 2 Jax versions as well, so there's definitely places to go with face paint.
Yeah, the outfits we've discussed before haven't aged well, but I think as figures they're fantastic. I think when it comes to the Legends line, I haven't picked up many of the older ones, only because I think I had the Rockers, and then as I said, I wasn't going to open the box for the Rockers. It was too nice to do. Obviously, Marty Jannetty's gone a bit off the rails recently, so I don't think once again they're going to release those again. For me, we kept it simple. We discussed simple with the Kevin Sullivan pick. I really like the Greg Valentine figure. Now, I've picked Greg Valentine only because when we saw the render first come out, I think we had a chat about it when it first was released, and I thought, good God, what have they done here? Why have they just released a boring Greg Valentine figure? And then I think I saw it I think I picked it up from Wrestle HQ, and I was like, I'll get it because it will fit my collection nicely. And then it arrives, and you look at the face scan. It's a really, really good face scan. And you look at the boots, nice and simple yellow boots, little pad in there. And you look at the jacket, and it's simple as can be. They could have gone the other way with it and just made it extravagant to try and make a boring figure look good. But they've made it look boring, which in my opinion has made it look good. So I really, really like it. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the hammer. The Chase one as well, we've discussed before. We're giving that away in the Fantasy Wrestling League for next year. That's going to be hot in the future. So what's your view on the Hammer?
Yeah, one of the ones that I was looking forward to getting the most, obviously my 1985 to 1998 display, it had to have a Greg Valentine. I was so shocked at how long it took, because I don't think he's ever been on bad terms with the WWE. So I was quite shocked on how long it took. Maybe they just thought it wouldn't sell. But the fans have obviously flocked to that. It is the one that I see for sale the least out of that series. So obviously people are keeping hold of it. The hair on that figure is perfect.
Yeah.
I think they've absolutely got that hair perfect on it, because he did have really big, silly hair, like proper 1980s, almost woman style hair. Yeah, it's a great figure. The shin pads, the shin guard is really nice as well that comes with it. I actually prefer the Jack's jackets. I've got to be honest. I prefer the Jack's one. But that's just personal preference. I've got the Chase one in my collection. I just prefer him in yellow trunks. I don't know why. Whenever I think of Valentine, I think yellow trunks. I've just finished watching I'm in the middle of it actually, the WrestleMania 4. With Valentine, and it very, very good showing in the tournament in WrestleMania 4. So how it took so long to get a figure, do not know.
Yeah, as I said before, I think it's just they're waiting for the right time, because with the Elite line you only get 6 per series, and with people switching their outfits up, or they have to release 27 Roman Reigns every year, they need to find a way to fill that in, don't they? So I think they're just waiting for the right time for it, and I think the Legends line coming back, and that series of the Legends line with Razor, Bobby the Brain, and him. I think he was always going to be the standout out of the 3. We already had a Bobby the Brain, already had a Razor. We need a Greg Valentine. I think now the only place they can go with it is the Rhythm and Blues Greg. Which I think we'll want to get.
There will be hype around that one because of the Hasbro one that was released but not released. But they have also they are releasing an earlier Brutus Beefcake edition, which really fits in with the Dream Team. So you can put him and Valentine together in your display, which is a great move by Mattel, even though we've had Beefcakes before. Just that slightly tad earlier Beefcake, brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I think, if we're looking all in all figure-wise, if you want to do a standard figure possible from the 1980s, just do it as standard as possible. I don't need the extra bells and whistles that come with it. Just give me the guy, his accessories, his entrance gear that can be removable, and I'm a happy man. And that's what they've done with that. So with some
good choice,
with some spare hands as well. What question have you got this week, Adam?
It's a question from our resident questioner, Alan Logue, but Stuart Brown also asked basically the same question, so it's kind of from the two of those, which is the best figure of 2020, the breakout figure of 2020. So I'll let you go first on this one, Jamie.
Breakout wise, I think it's a tough one, only because it's down to personal preference and down to what you've seen. I would say, if you asked me this in January, after seeing the renders and seeing everything that's being released, I would have gone, it would be, your Drew McIntyre Survivor Series ones or the Kane Survivor Series one. But I think actually after seeing the figures, I would say Otis has probably been the breakout figure for me, as well as probably the breakout star of the year. Only because if you look at how simple, once again, what simple the figure is, it's the most simplest you can get. He's got his jacket, he's got his attire on, and he comes with the fun belt, which won't be released for anyone else. So, and just from him being a small, rotund chap, people can relate to him quite well, which means that the figure will sell quite well. And as you said before, big guys' figures always look good. So, for me personally, that's been the surprise breakout figure for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've not gone with somebody from current. I've gone somebody from old that I just think is the best figure, to be honest, of 2020. And it is Viscera.
Oh, great figure.
I think the Viscera figure smashes all the others. Even the spare hands with the V. The Viscera. I was a big Mabel fan anyway with the King of the Ring, but Viscera is a slightly upper level, even though it's such a plain kind of black figure. It's needed for the Ministry of Darkness. Obviously, we need a Midian as well to go with it. But I didn't think it would pop and be quite as in-your-face good as it is. So 2020 is the year of the V.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. I think with that Viscera, first I've done it in a while. I went to B&M and I walked down. Do you remember when you were a kid and you used to get excited walking down the aisles before you get to the wrestling bit? I had that, and I think
when I was a kid. That happens now.
Well, it hasn't happened since Woolworths, but yeah. So I was walking down the aisles and I was like, I think the SummerSlam ones had just been released. I didn't pre-order them. I walked down the aisle and there we are, a full set of SummerSlam Elites on the shelves, freshly placed out. So I picked up a Viscera for me. I got a Chase Rude. I think I picked up a couple of Fiends for John, and yeah, I looked at them, and I the first time in a while I've been excited to look at the shelves. And Viscera got out of the box, and the coat feels really good. The height of it feels really good. The spare hands make sense. The Mohawk pops. Strange why it comes to the hardcore title, even because the only time Viscera's ever won a belt on TV has been at WrestleMania 2000 during the Battle Royal. Because as we know, yeah, his tag title win was untelevised at a house show by accident because he landed on top of, I think it was Jacques Rougeau, and being so heavy he couldn't kick out, so they had to do that and then do a quick switcheroo again at the next house show when the Quebecers won the title. Minor fact there for you, but yeah, I think it's a very, very good figure, and I was surprised how sought after it was when you first see them. Because when it first came out, everyone was all Viscera, and even now they're quite hard to find.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got lucky again. I mean, I ordered one straight away from Smith's, but when I was going down B&M again, I found one on the shelf, so I've got that MOC as well.
Yeah, it's a very, very good figure. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. They could have been very lazy with it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they've just nailed everything: the expression, the mohawk, the attire, the hands, even the spare hands. We always go on about moaning about them, but the spare hands were perfect in this one.
That makes sense, and I think the hardcore title as well has probably help shift the figure.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I don't need a hardcore title. I'm saying until I get a hardcore Holly or a Crash Holly, I don't think anyone in my collection really warrants the hardcore title, if I'm honest, apart from maybe a Mankind. But yeah, I think
I've got a custom Sean Stasiak with mine.
the Planet one. Yeah, so I don't think anyone warrants it as much as those guys do. But yeah, I think for a figure wise, it didn't need an extra accessory, but I'm glad that it came with it.
I think props, we don't need to talk in detail about this, but I think props in very close second place would have to go to the Fiend. I do think the figure's got a very, very easy chance of everybody hating it. It came out at a time where Fiend was being kind of almost wasted in WWE. Obviously, they're going to exploit the fact that the figure is going to be a big seller. It's going to be out here, there, everywhere. In every couple of series, it's going to be out. But that original one really popped for me. It was really good.
Yeah, definitely. I think it come at a weird time, as you just said, but the Ravishing Rick Rude that come in that series, I thought was really, really good, and I think that got overshadowed by the fact that the Fiend got released. Because when I found the series in B&M, a guy was literally behind me in the queue. This is the point where you had to queue up to get into B&M. Behind me in the queue, followed me all the way right down, was looking for exactly the same figures. So luckily, I got there just before him. And he just wanted a Fiend and a Rick Rude, but also I kept the Rude for myself because I wanted it as well. But yeah, apparently his boy, because we're still at the stage now, apparently, where people are lying and saying that their kids wanted the figures. We know full well it's for them. Just that his son wanted the Fiend, and apparently his son wanted a Rick Rude. So yeah, the Fiend is the one that the kids want.
Yeah, Rick Rude is not every 7-year-old boy's dream figure.
No, we see a lot of them recently. What was the one you saw the other week where someone said that his kid wanted Mr. Fuji, which
Oh, I cannot remember.
I always find those ones funny. The amount of people that you see that say, "Oh, these are for my kid," and it's like they're not, are they?
But I've got a 3-year-old, and his favourites are Hogan and Warrior, purely because I got the plush Hogan and Warriors, the old school ones,
No.
and and he has them. So yeah, I guess there's chances.
There's chances, but when it comes to certain, like no kid's gonna be like, "Oh, Daddy, can I have a Kevin Sullivan for Christmas?" Just admit it.
That's where you say to them, son, simple is better.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think we're at the stage now in our lives, and the stage now in social acceptance that we can all just admit that we like wrestling and we like toys, and that's.
I think you're through your 20s though, aren't you, Jamie?
I'm 30 now. Yeah.
There we go. That's probably when it becomes acceptable.
Yeah, it's true. It's very much true. Actually, I think in my early 20s, I would never have admitted that I watch wrestling. It's sort of very much a dark secret. Whereas if someone comes into the house now, first thing I do is like, "Have you seen this?" And I show them my little display, and they're like, "Oh, it's breathtaking." And then it's quite a good conversation starter. Whereas because the first thing they do, older people, they go, "Oh, giant haystacks, Big Daddy," and all that. I mean, we discussed it before, didn't we? But that's where a lot of people used to watch it. It wasn't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was very much everyone around the TV on a Saturday afternoon and watched themselves some World of Sport. It's not as taboo as it is now. But yeah,
right.
That's everything we got time for today, isn't it?
I think that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Hello, welcome back. And as you can see or hear, Jonathan has decided to join us to do the retro review. He couldn't leave us hanging for 1 week. So, Jonathan, how you doing?
Well, it's a new day, and we're back again for the retro review. Couldn't leave you hanging on this one, but great job on the podcast, lads, without me.
Yeah, well, some said it was better, but not my words, the words of other people.
Magazine.
So the retro review is what we've got coming up. So as you all know, it's just us saying our opinions and you, the viewer or listener, saying your opinions on what you think of the retro series at the moment is what we're covering. And we pop them on the league table, which we will cover in a second. So Johnny, it's your baby. Yeah. Kick us off.
Yeah, let's go into the league table. Why not? We'll go back to last time where we reviewed Series 4. And we've got some high hitters amongst us. Ric Flair has come out on top. He's number 1.
Oh.
Audience kind of agreed with us, although scored slightly lower. Averaged out at around 8.5, where ours were, actually about the same. So that was Ric Flair at the top. To the anguish of the listeners, though, who scored Sami Zayn a very low 5.7, he actually does still go to the second in our league.
Good.
With an average of 8.27, so he's above the table.
It's an absolute congregation of errors from the viewers.
We're not saying it's an error. Maybe it's an error of our ways. It certainly gave me a few, ways of thinking I might be changing my mind about Sammy, but I thought it was good on first inspection. There was a lot to it. So I'm happy it's got its place. And also entering the top 5 is Finn Balor. He is number 5 in the league.
Ooh.
So a good score from Finn. And in such a strange event, Kevin Owens from Series 1 scored exactly the same as Kevin Owens from Series 4. Despite us all giving different marks and the audience giving different marks, he ended up with 5.51 each time. What are the chances?
Well, probably 1 in 100 to be exact.
Overall, we agree it's the same figure almost. So there you have it. We can move on to what is going to be the New Day series.
Lovely stuff. Who are we kicking off with this time?
As always, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm going alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Big E. There he is on the screen. You'll see him. Listeners may not, but people on YouTube will. He is in an all pink leotard. We call it leotard, or a ghost singlet?
Singlet. It
has the New Day logo right in the center. Lovely bright pink, but it's got elbow pads. Don't believe Big E ever wore those. Black boots, as Big E does. Big E's got his tongue sticking out, which looks pretty iconic for him.
It's Big E Lang's tongue.
Gives him a bit of character, I would say. So what do you guys think of this one?
Adam, kick us off.
Yeah, I quite like it. I think the goofy face really works with him because he is the one that pulls the goofy face in the New Day. As you say, the pink pops. It's always going to pop that kind of colour. New Day logo on it. You've got the works in the motion that he does for the big ending.
Yeah,
you can easily do the big ending, easily fit a figure in that little gap in the gap when he puts his arms up. What else have I said? He can also do the suicide spear where he dives through the ropes to the outside with that pose. The negative that I would give, and to be honest, I think it's quite a big negative, is for MOC collectors on this one. Because I don't know if you've seen how the figure is displayed in the box. Me being quite an OCD person can't deal with it because obviously the New Day logo comes on the two different segments of the figure. And in the box, it's slightly twisted to the side, so the logo doesn't match up with each other when it's displayed in the box.
Like that?
Yeah, it comes like that, basically. A little bit less than that, but it messes with my mind and I can't deal with it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of MOC collectors the same as me on that one. So for me, that's quite a big negative.
Would that not just be like a case of coincidence? There would be some that were absolutely fine.
Every single one that I looked at was the same.
All right, there you go then.
The same figure, just repeated over and over again.
I mean, I did get this in the package, but obviously opened it, so I didn't really recognize that sort of thing. But it's an interesting one.
I think for me, I completely agree. The only thing I'd change personally would be I'd make the boots pop a little bit more, if I'm honest. That would be the only thing.
I suppose he has kind of in recent years wore brighter boots, but I think in these sort of early New Day era, he was always wearing his normal black boots. So they're quite accurate, I would say.
Yeah, as a figure, if you're going for it as that, I think I'd like to see a bit of colour or anything on there. Maybe a bit of pink, a cheeky little logo knocking about at the bottom. Just anything would be nice. But for me, it doesn't really fault the figure that much. I'm sort of splitting hairs with anything. I think the action's really good. Facial expression's really good. Singlet or outfit, we're going to call it, really good. All in all, a good figure.
Would you like to kick us off with the rating then, Jamie?
Oh, go on then. An 8.6 for Big E.
That's
As I said, I'm splitting hairs to find faults in it and not just the boots.
That's fair enough. Adam, after you.
Straight 7 for me. The MOC display and you've highlighted the elbow pads are the ones that knock it down.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as good as you guys. Now I scored even 6. I just think it was a bit inaccurate in a way with the elbow pads. Kind of drew away from it. Middle of the road, above average though. Next we have who? It's Kofi. That's who. Anybody want to take it away and what you see in this one, or should I do that again?
I'll kick off. I think trousers wise, really good. It looks like a refresher bar or a drumstick or something, which always catches my eye, personally. I think face wise, I'm not a massive fan of the face. I think boots fit in well with it. The face for me doesn't really do anything. Looks more like Danny Glover than Kofi Kingston. So I'd say all in all, just the face lets it down for me.
Yeah. So what I thought was the colour's really nice. I just noticed on this screen I shouldn't have worn my New Day top because it blends exactly and you can barely see it. But yeah, the colour. I think the one thing about this series is the colour sort of makes it all pop and it puts them up just a little bit. I think there's good detail in the tights, like you said. There's a lot of colours, a lot of logos on it, all around the boots and all sorts. It's just the face is terrible and it's a jumper. Even though it makes sense, it's still a jumper, and a jumper always going to be a bit of a negative.
Yeah, the face is a bit. You don't need that.
Not a good face. Ad?
Yeah, I think the saver for it is the attire. I think for me that's the only saver for this figure. I think the face is down there with one of the worst. Obviously, there's another one that's completely horrendous, but we haven't got to that one yet. So this is down there with one of the worst faces on these retros. He doesn't pull that pose either, really, to be honest. So I don't know why they've come up with that. I think they've just tried to blend it in with the other two. Sorry. The jumper, it kind of makes sense with the boom drop. You can get away with that. You can get away with the SOS a little bit. Trouble in Paradise, you've no chance of doing if you're going to play with the figure. I really don't like the figure as a whole.
No, I think it's definitely a poor one. The bottom half is pretty good, even though it's a jumper, but I'm going to score it a 5.3 lower down.
I'm going to take it in two halves. So the bottom half for me is a 9. The top half for me is a 2. So all in all, on average, what's that? 5.5 we'll go with.
I believe you.
And I've gone lower than you two. I've gone a 4.3 on this one. I can't justify more than that.
Whoa, Adam's going all harsh again. But it isn't a good figure, so you can't really say it's above average. So
From waist up, it's not a good figure.
Yeah, from waist up, yeah. Let's move on to, let's have a little break from the New Day and we'll go, oh yeah, it's the Macho Man NWO version. So they released the NWO version before any other, rather than the WWF version, which probably fine because he did have 3 Hasbros in the WWF, so why not have a WCW one to match Sting? I think is the only other one that I've released so far. My notes are it's packed with detail. There's loads of logos, there's stars everywhere. There's a lot of detail on the Madness on the chest. Not much on the back, but never mind. Could have maybe put some like rips in the back of the shirt. Detail on the bandana and the glasses, so can't really knock the detail on that one. The face isn't very good, unfortunately, but maybe the glasses and the hat can hide that. The action, you could probably see it's an elbow drop, but I would have preferred the Steve Austin one, I think, for that one. Take it away, boys.
I'll go for this one then. Going to repeat exactly what you said about the attire. One of the best in the attires that I can see. It matches one of the Mattel ones as well with the Madness logo on the shirt. Beautiful detail on it, going all the way from top to bottom. You've got the bandana, you've got the sunglasses, you've got everything on that. It's the same debate as we had before about the elbow. I think the elbow works with this one. The Steve Austin one could have done, but to be honest, we could have had loads and loads of the Steve Austin type ones. So I'm not going to criticize it for that one. I think they maybe could have done a finger, if I'm being really critical, on the hand maybe, so that you can have the pose. For the elbow drop. I think that's pretty much all I've got to say on that one. It's a cracking figure.
Just notice a little negative I didn't write down. It's like the shirt goes all the way up to the neck, so it's like a polo neck shirt type of thing. So
didn't notice that.
No skin neck. It's all black all the way at the top.
Sort of Venom from Spider-Man.
Little bit of a letdown for that.
Have you boys ever wondered what one of the Bee Gees would look like if they joined the NWO? Because that's Barry Gibb right there. I think as a toy, I think it's really good. It's going to pop off the shelves. If you're walking past, you'll be like, oh, you can see it's Macho Man, even from a distance. I think as a toy, really good. As a likeness, face-wise, not that good. But we're rating it as a toy, so that's a bonus for it. Attire-wise, really good. The top, as you said, really detailed. Bottom-wise, styles all over the place. What more could you ask for? The edge of the face, in my eyes, lets it down. I quite like the fact they've put the sunglasses on the face and left it on. I think it looks a lot better with the sunglasses on. So I'll kick us off with a vote. I'm going to go for a steady 8.1. I like the series.
Certainly steady. I'll go next, but I'll say 8.5.
Wow.
And I've gone a 9.1 on this one.
Madness.
It could have been so rubbish. They could have just put an NWO logo on, and that would have been it. But they tried hard with that one.
So certainly contender to knock the top two, I'd think. We'll see what the audience think. And coming up probably the last alphabetically, it's Xavier Woods. This one, I think, is worse than Kofi. I really do. There's not a lot of detail other than the boots. There's nothing on even gloves, nothing on the top. The face is bad. Honestly, the only positive I wrote about this is the good detail on the boots, including, the Iron Sheik style toes.
Elf shoes.
Yeah, I've not got much nice to say about this one, unfortunately. Do any of you guys?
I'm confused as to what the faces are, because obviously I know Big E's makes sense because he makes that face, but what are they supposed to? I've never seen them make it like that before. It's very strange. But same as Kofi in my eyes. I think bottom half really good. Could do with like a couple more logos in there, just maybe a bit of yellow if you want to treat yourself. But yeah, I think the colours pop. The boots wise, I quite like the little style, the elf shoes. Wristbands are good, and then the rest of it is a no.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar. I mean, one thing I didn't say with Kofi is that their eyes are rolling in the back of their heads on the ones that I've seen, which is really strange, and there's no reason for that at all. I don't think facially it is worse than Kofi. I think Kofi is much worse in the face than this one. I can actually see Xavier Woods in this, where I couldn't see Kofi in the other. I think the action, you can kind of work it for the elbow drop again that he does. You can kind of work it for the honor roll a little bit that he does as well. But I'm clutching at straws with the action there. The boots were my positive that I was going to say. At least they've put the detail in the boots. Again, bottom half isn't too bad, but it's another pretty shocking figure.
For the action, I couldn't really pick out a Xavier Woods moveset. I don't think I've really seen a lot of him in the ring, if I'm honest. So I couldn't really have said, oh, he should have had this move, should have had that move. If you want to say it looks like Xavier Woods, I'd say it looks probably more like Bradley from S Code 7. 90s flashback for you.
An early 2000s flashback, if anything, I think. Oh, he's
Sorry about that.
Well, that's all right.
Am I back?
Oh yeah, you're back in the S Club.
Yes. So there we go. Shall we get some ratings in for this one?
Yeah, I'll kick off with this one then, because I've not kicked off before. I'm going to give it higher than Kofi because I think it's a little bit better, but I'm going to give it 4.9.
Oh. I'm going to give it one higher than Kofi. Sorry, no, one lower than Kofi, and a 5.2.
I think if it came with a Francesca, I think I'd give it a 6, but it doesn't, which is annoying. So it's going to be a 5 for me.
5, straight 5.
I don't know why they didn't put a Francesca with it, because they put the guitar with Elias, just put a trumpet with Xavier.
With that, the way it is, it'd be hard to hold it or display it, so maybe they didn't bother. Plus, I mean, like, they only introduced that accessory in Series 9, or 10, sorry.
Well, they introduced it in Season 1 in the Hasbro series, and why are they so slow off the mark?
I think it's Hasbro, it's Mattel.
Yeah, but yeah, very strange on that one. But yeah, we quite get to see. Well, I know that the series is on ice, and we're not really up to the latest seasons yet. But good to see them carry on. I think they've got a lot more scope at the moment. We're at the halfway point. We could discuss this now, can't we? I think we've quite a lot of scope to do the newer ones. I think they haven't done a Hogan yet in the style, have they? So.
Yeah, maybe we'll leave that discussion for after Series 10, but we could, there is some good ones to come.
Yeah,
speaking of that, next week we will be doing Series 6. So with that said, I've been quizzing again on the Legion of Hasbro group, and I won all 3 of the bonus points. So in order that I won them, I got the Crocodile Dundee DVD, because there was a question about Paul Hogan, or which was the only Hogan not in WCW. I've got Jack's BCA Kane. Can't remember what the question was, but I got that. And proper impressed with this prize. It's a MOC Sting from Series 6.
That was the one I wanted. That was the yeah.
So Jamie was in this quiz as well. I don't know how you placed, Jamie. I think I came joint second with a few people, but got all the bonus prizes.
I got 21 points. A few questions I was a bit embarrassed about. I think there was one about kimchi, Kamala's manager, which I got wrong. I put Kenchi, which is not his name, if we're honest. I didn't deserve the point for putting the wrong answer. And then there's a few other ones which I was a bit embarrassed about, and then a few more that I pulled out the bag. So I think looking forward to the next one that they have on there.
Yeah, I'll be back. Adam, you should give it a go as well.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, I'm not good at thinking on my feet on stuff like that. Even if I know the answer, I'll say the wrong thing.
You don't say it; you just type it in.
Either or.
Indeed. Well, thanks to Phil Rapley for that, and I look forward to the next quiz, and shout out to the group. Cheers, lads.
Lovely. Well, I said we got season 6 up next week, which is overly exciting, isn't it? I'll tell you what. As we're at the halfway stage, I think we should treat ourselves. Let's review the Ring as well next week.
Oh, okay then. No problem. Yeah. We'll try and get that fit there in.
Have you got the Ring?
I do.
So do I.
I've even got one box as well.
Well, it's not going that far. Not made of money. Lovely. Well, that's it for the retro review this week, and we're back next week for the full episode where Johnny will join us all the way throughout from start to finish, which I'm sure he can't wait for. So, guys, we'll see you soon, and cheers for doing the extra retro.
Adios. Cheers, fellas.